Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Vasadhyadishatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasati Gaura Bhaktarinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasati Gaura Bhaktarinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Jaya Gauranidhai, Jaya Gauranidhai, Jaya Gauranidhai, Jaya Gauranidhai, Jaya Nidhai Satchishundara, Nidhai Satchishundara, Nidhai Satchishundara, Jaya Nidhai Satchishundara, Giri Govardhan, Jaya 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 Giri Govardhan, Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jai Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada Ananda Gari Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Hare Krishna Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanamani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurangacharine Vishesha Srinivadi Vastiti Deshitarine Hare Krishna. Welcome Amit, welcome Prakash. So we have a nice verse tonight. Let's share that screen. So, Amit, go ahead. Our Sanskrit professor. Yes, yes, you're getting so good.
Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Naham Prakasa Sarvesya Yogamaya Sammarvata Madhuyam Nabi Janati Lokomam Ajam Abhayayam. Prabhu, did you hear me?
Yes, very well.
Translation. I am never manifest to the foolish and unintelligent, for they are covered by my internal potency. And therefore they do not know that I am unborn and inexhaustible. Purport. It may be argued that since Krishna was visible to everyone when he was present on this earth, how can it be said that he is not manifested to everyone? But actually he was not manifested to everyone. When Krishna was present, there were only a few people who could understand him to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the assembly of Kuras, where Sisyapala spoke against Krishna being elected president of the assembly, Bhisma supported him and proclaimed him to be the Supreme God. Similarly, the Pandavas and a few others knew that he was the Supreme, but not everyone. He was not revealed to the non-devotees. He was not revealed to the non-devotees and the common man. Therefore, in Bhagavad Gītā, Krishna says that, but for his pure devotees, all men consider him to be like themselves. He will manifest only to his devotees as a reservoir of all pleasure. But the other, to unintelligent non-devotees, he was covered by his internal potency. In the prayers of Kunti in the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is said that the Lord is covered by the curtain of Yoga Maya, and thus ordinary people cannot understand him. This Yoga Maya curtain is also confirmed in the Upanisads, Mantra 15, in which a devotee prays, Hiranmayana Patrena Sapyas Yapi Iktam Mukam Tat Svam Husan Apa Luna Satya Dharmaya Drishtya. O my Lord, you are the maintainer of the entire universe, and devotional service to you is the highest religious principle. Therefore, I pray that you will also maintain me. The transcendental form is covered by the Yoga Maya. The Brahma Jyoti is covering of the internal potency. You kindly remove this glowing effulgence that impedes my seeing you. Sachit Ananda Vigraha. the internal form of bliss and knowledge. The Supreme Personality of Godhead in his transcendental form of bliss and knowledge is covered by the internal potency of the Brahma Jyoti. And the less intelligent impersonalists cannot see the Supreme on his account. Also in the Srimad Bhagavatam, where the prayer by Brahma, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, O Super Soul, O Master of all mystery, who can calculate your potency and pastime in this world, you are always expanding your internal potency, and therefore no one can understand you. Learned scientists and learned scholars can examine the atomic constitution of the material world, or even him. I've lost it. Even the planets, but they still are unable to calculate your energy and potency, although you are present before them. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, is not only unborn, but also avyaya, inexhaustible. His internal form is bliss and knowledge, and his energies are all inexhaustible.
Thank you, Amit. Hare Krishna. Amaginatimirandasya Gananjanasya Lakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mano Pishtam Shtabitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamayam Dadadi Swapatandikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yudapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sakrajatam Zahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sachivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parichana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Badan Sahagana Lalita Shivishyakan Vitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Chagadapate Gopisha Gopika Kanda Radha Kanda Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Vrate Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanusutite Vipranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarupescha Kripa Sindhupya Evacha Patitanam Pavanepyo Vaishnavepyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasati Gaur Bhaktarinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. The translation again. I am never manifest.
Prabhu, can you show it? Can you show it just again one more time so that we can see it when you're reading it?
Yes, I will show it because you're going to say something about this verse.
Yeah?
Yes?
Yes, I like it.
Yes, I know you like it. So, I am never manifest to the foolish and unintelligent. For them, I am covered by my internal potency, and therefore they do not know that I am unborn and inexhaustible. Okay, you have read all the verse, you have read the purport. Say something. What do you remember? Amit. In your own words.
Yeah, no, Prabhu, I think when I'm listening to this verse, I think it's quite a good, gives you quite a good stance when you're talking to somebody and they are like either in the mode of good or ignorance nature. So that sometimes, it gives you an understanding that because they're in that mode, they don't understand, they don't have that extra intellectual knowledge. So that's why I think Krishna is saying is hidden. The bit about the potency, I'm trying to understand. To just show the verse again, I'm trying to understand that he said it's hidden potency, but That's what I seem to understand from this verse, that
Okay,
people in them kind of mode of nature, he is hidden.
certainly. Certainly. If one is under the influence of the three modes of nature, passion, ignorance, goodness, then how is it possible to understand Krishna to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead? So quite nicely you said that. The question is why is Krishna hiding himself from some, and why is he not hiding himself from others? Krishna doesn't show himself just to anybody, and he doesn't have to. Just like take the Pope, take a president of America, of Russia, of any big country, China. You cannot demand, I want an audience. No, you cannot demand. If the president or the Pope, they want to give an audience to us, it's entirely up to them. We cannot demand. Some people demand, show me God. Well, you cannot demand, show you God. You have to qualify yourself to be able to see God. And Krishna, he reserves that right to not be understood by just anyone. Faithless people who have no faith in God, atheistic people, or people strongly under the mode, particular passion and ignorance, rajas and tamas. How can they understand Krishna? Welcome, Jayantibai. So Krishna is hiding himself. How does he do it? He is doing it by his Yoga Maya potency. That Yoga Maya potency is his internal energy. Krishna has three principal energies. His internal, very own internal potency, which is Yoga Maya. His marginal potency, Tatashta Shakti, which is a living entities, and his external material energy, which is a Maya, Mahamaya. There's a difference between Yoga Maya and Mahamaya. Yoga Maya is employed for the devotees, and in Krishna's pastimes, Yoga Maya, and in the spiritual world also, Yoga Maya is employed in so many ways. Because if Yoga Maya wouldn't be employed, and we have heard from authoritative sources and scripture and our spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, we have heard, said these pastimes of Krishna, let's say it's a Kurukshetra battlefield. I think we can easily relate to those pastimes, where Krishna was fighting on the side of the Pandavas. He wasn't fighting, he was just taking that side. Why Krishna was taking the side of the Pandavas? That's a good question. When the battle was unavoidable, even after the last and latest possible peace mission, Krishna himself, he went on that peace mission. He was a missionary. They wanted to try to avoid the war. So Krishna made himself available. He said, I will go to the camp of Duryodhana and propose a peace plan. What was that peace plan? The Pandavas are Kshatriyas. they were the rightful heirs of the entire kingdom. But by some trickery, Dhritarashtra, the blind father of Duryodhana, he wanted the kingdom for his own sons and not for the sons of Pandu. So the Pandavas said to Krishna, we will be satisfied because as Kshatriyas we have to rule. That's our nature. A Kshatriya has to have some subjects like a king. A king without a kingdom is not a king. There's no meaning to a king. Okay, we have a king, even the King of England, King Charles, but he has no kingdom. He is somewhere without a kingdom. So any king must have a kingdom to rule over, to extract taxes, to employ those taxes for the benefit of the people at large, and to keep law and order in the kingdom. If there is no king, that is a terrible situation for a kingdom, because all the rogues and thieves, they will be predominant, and society will be, people will be suffering very much. Today, without a president, a prime minister, it's also hardly imaginable. A country without a prime minister, a country without a president. Then all the rogues and thieves, all these elements, they will flourish. And who will suffer? The ordinary citizen. So there must be a prime minister, a king, a president, an executive arm of government which keeps those elements in check. They don't dare to be prominent. They're existing in the shadow world, and the government has laws and executive and the police force, and so they will, as much as possible, check these negative elements in society. They're always there. There will be always some people who don't follow the rules, who exploit others for selfish reasons, who think they're not responsible to anyone. These are those persons in the lower mode of nature, just totally ruled by their lusty desires and their ego. So, a kingdom without a king. So the same for the Pandavas. They were Kshatriyas. They were rulers. They must have some subjects. So the climb down of laying claim to the entire kingdom for the sake of peace. So said Krishna, you go with that message to Duryodhana. We must, of course, we must have some land to rule over, but we will be satisfied with just 5 villages. We are 5 Pandava brothers, and each of us gets 1 village to rule over. Then our nature and our inclination is taken care of. We don't claim the whole kingdom, just to avoid the war, the battle of Kurukshetra. So Krishna took that peace mission and he went to Duryodhana's court. Duryodhana, not being a devotee, he could not understand that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And that's the subject matter which we're discussing today. Not everybody could understand. Only a very few, the Pandavas and Bhishma and a few others, could understand that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So what did the others, what did they think Krishna is? There is a verse in Bhagavad Gītā, Manushyanam Sahasreshu, which explains that ordinary people, they think Krishna is an ordinary human being. It's quite easy to think like that. If a faithless person and not much intelligent person, even has seen Krishna. Well, Krishna looks like it's not Vishnu with 4 hands and weapons in his arms. No, Krishna in a two-handed form. So the ordinary people think, oh, Krishna is one of us. Even Lord Brahma, the most pious person in the universe, he couldn't understand that Krishna is that cowherd boy playing in the forest of Vrindavan. He just looked like an ordinary cowherd boy. So even he was bewildered. Then when Krishna expanded himself in all the cows and calves, after Brahma has stolen them, then it dawned on him, oh, this is my master Vishnu. This is Krishna. He knew Krishna will appear in that particular time, because Krishna appears once in the day of Brahma. So he knew he will appear, but in which form he will appear, that he didn't understand. And then he was quite overtaken. He said, is my Lord and Master? I didn't recognize him. So if Lord Brahma couldn't recognize him, then, and he's a devotee, so Duryodhana, he certainly couldn't recognize Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That reflects when, at the beginning of the war, everybody sought alliances, like in our modern world as well. So trying to expand alliances, the NATO alliances, and in the past there was the Warsaw Pact alliances and different alliances, because alone we are very weak. If we have alliances and friends who are standing with us, then we become more and more strong. So both sides, when it looked like it was almost impossible to avoid the wars, and they sought alliances. And both Duryodhana and Arjuna went to Krishna. He was very powerful, he had very powerful armies. They wanted to secure his help. So it came to pass that both Duryodhana and Arjuna, they arrived at the same time at Krishna's palace. And Arjuna said, oh, Duryodhana, you're also here. And Duryodhana said, oh, Arjuna, you're also here. They knew exactly why they came. Duryodhana knew Arjuna wanted Krishna's help, and vice versa. So at the time Krishna was sleeping, so they entered the room. And Duryodhana, in his pride, he straight went and sat down next to the head of Krishna, sleeping Krishna. Because if they're both asking Krishna for help, then Duryodhana calculated, if Krishna wakes up, he sees me first. And then I have a chance of getting his army and getting Krishna as an alliance. And Arjuna will lose out. Arjuna placed himself at the feet. Why? Because he's a very humble devotee. If we have any sign of humility to higher personalities, we taking shelter of their feet, which is the lowest part, because we feel so low. And in order to get shelter from Krishna or the spiritual master or any powerful personality, we have to feel humble and low. If we are puffed up with pride, we will not achieve anything in this world. So Arjuna sat at the feet and Duryodhana at the head. Arjuna had not any welcome return problem. Arjuna had not any calculation. He sat at Krishna's feet just because he loved his Lord and his friend. That was his friend. Arjuna had said relationship to Krishna as a friend. They were both the same age, materially calculated. So, when Krishna woke up, where does someone look? When you're lying on the bed, you're lying on your back, where do you look first? To your feet, of course, because your feet are right in your field of vision. So Krishna, he opened his eyes, and what did he see? He saw Arjuna at his feet. He said, "Oh, Arjuna, welcome. You have come to see me. What can I do for you?" Then Arjuna explained. Duryodhana was completely ignored at that point. So Arjuna explained, well, it looks like the war is destined to happen. And I want you, Krishna, to be on the Pandavas side. Okay, that wish has been spoken. And then Krishna saw also Duryodhana sitting next to his head. "Oh, Duryodhana, you're also here. What can I do for you?" And Duryodhana said, "Oh, Krishna, I also want you at our side. We're forming alliances." So very contradictory. Duryodhana wants Krishna on his side, and Arjuna wants Krishna on the Pandava side. So how to solve that puzzle? Krishna cannot divide himself. Well, he can, but from the material point of view, not. So Krishna gave a very clever answer. Okay, you can either have all my military, all my armies, Arjuna or Duryodhana, you can have all my armies, but not me. Or you can have just me without my armies. Oh. So Duryodhana immediately, he made material calculation. What's the use of Krishna without the armies, without the military, all the divisions and all the soldiers and the foot soldiers and the elephant and the horses and the chariots and all of that? What's the use? Just Krishna with without his army. Material calculation. So he said, "I'll take the armies." And Krishna said to Arjuna, "What do you want?" And Arjuna said, "I just want you, my Lord. You are my friend. I want you to be by my side." And Krishna reminded him, "But you will not have my army." And Arjuna said, "I don't want your army. I want you," because he's a devotee. A devotee doesn't want the opulences of the Lord. He wants Krishna personally, as his friend, as his lover, as his master. So Krishna said to Arjuna, "Well, you can have me, but I won't fight. I won't fight in the battle. I'm neutral. I can be on your side, but I will not fight. I can be your charioteer, your chariot driver. A chariot driver doesn't fight. A chariot driver just takes command from the charioteer, from the Kshatriya in the chariot. Just imagine. Krishna is putting himself under Arjuna's command. Because it means charioteers that Arjuna says, "Now go straight ahead. Now turn left. Now turn right. Now bring me here. Bring me there." Where do we have that? Said Krishna takes happily, he lets himself command by his pure devotees. You don't find it in any religion, anywhere. Said God is is commanded by his devotee, pure devotee. But that's a fact. A pure devotee, because the pure devotee is so, so dear to Krishna, that Krishna is enjoying to be commanded by his pure devotee. An example in a material example, the father sometimes has a mock fight with his young son. And the son is conquering the father. I won, I won. He's sitting, the father is just like a horse on the floor, and the son is sitting on his back as the rider of the horse. And the son says, now go here, now go there, now go down, sit down. And the father, out of love for his son, he's enjoying that. He lets himself be commanded by his young boy, the father who may be the president of a country. Imagine. Not in the office, then he is a boss. But at home, in his intimate playtime with his young child, he enjoys the child playing the boss, and the father plays a subordinate role. Anyone who has children, he can relate to that. So Krishna is enjoying to be commanded by his pure devotees. So therefore he agreed, I be the chariot driver. I won't fight, but you command me, Arjuna. You tell me where you want me to drive the chariot, and I will follow. The chariot driver is normally the position of a Shudra, the lowest in the Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, in the social hierarchy, comparatively. Of course, if they're all Krishna conscious, then there is no lower and higher. So Krishna took that, and Duryodhana thought that was a good deal. I get all the armies. I don't need Krishna. And Arjuna thought, no, I have Krishna. I don't need armies. Wherever Krishna is, there is certainly victory. Krishna says so in the Bhagavad Gītā at the end, wherever there is Krishna and Arjuna, there is victory. So if we get Krishna and Arjuna on our side, there will be victory, whatever battles we have to fight. So back to the story. So that was decided. Then the last peace mission, Krishna himself, as a messenger. Krishna takes a role of a messenger for the Pandavas. We can hardly imagine. Krishna is the Supreme Lord. Again, he takes a subordinate position. A messenger is a subordinate position. A messenger of the king, for instance. The king isn't a higher position. The messenger is just someone who carries the king's message from A to B. So Krishna agreed to be a messenger. And the diplomatic offer to avoid the war was, Duryodhana, if you give 5 villages to the Pandavas, then the battle will not have to be fought. Just 5 villages, at your choice. So each Pandava has, each of the brothers has 1 village. The fight can be avoided. A fight means not just a fight, a mock fight. No, that is a real fight with real killing. So one side has to kill everyone on the other side. That's a goal. Duryodhana refused. And a famous verse, an exclamation, what Duryodhana said, no, I won't give the Pandavas not even as much land as fits on the tip of a needle. Can you imagine that? Not as much. How much land fits on the tip of a needle? Basically nothing. So I will not give as much land as fits on the tip of a needle. He could have given them 5 villages graciously, and the war would have been avoided, with millions and millions of people being killed. And all the Kauravas are all losing their life. No, in his selfish, egoistical, demonic mentality, Duryodhana had not as much land as fits on the tip of a needle. And then when Krishna wanted to leave, the Duryodhana tried to capture Krishna. He thought, if we capture Krishna, the Pandavas cannot fight. Because the Pandavas are all so dear. Krishna is so dear to the Pandavas. If they hear Krishna is captured, then they will immediately give up the fight. But how can Krishna be captured? Krishna can only be captured by love. Like Mother Yashoda, she tried to capture Krishna. After he was stealing butter, she tried to bind him to the wooden grinding mortar. But the rope was always 5, 10 fingers, dasa angulam, too short. The rope was too short. So she put more rope. She got all the rope in her house and she knotted them together and put it around Krishna's belly and around the mortar to bind him to the mortar. And it was still too short. Too short. She became very, very puzzled. And her gopi friends, they were laughing. That's even worse. They were laughing. Oh, Mata, this morning you put a little string, a little black string around Krishna's belly. And now with all the ropes in your house, you cannot bind him? And they laughed. And she felt really bad and embarrassed. And then all the gopis, they brought all the rope from their houses. Still, the rope was too short. Too short. We couldn't bind Krishna. So when she became very exhausted and perturbed and puzzled, and then Krishna showed his mercy. When Krishna agreed to be bound, then she was able to bind Krishna. And why did she bind him to the mortar? Because the mortar was an accomplice from stealing the butter, because Krishna used the mortar to climb onto the wooden grinding mortar. He climbed on the mortar to get to the butter, which was hanging from a swing. In India, they hang the butter from the ceiling and the yogurt. So nobody can, no animals, and nobody can get to it. But of course, the Sakas have been very expert in Krishna and Balaram. They climbed on each other's shoulder and they were getting to the pots hanging from the ceiling. So this is proof that Krishna, if he feels subordinate to the love of his devotees, he felt subordinate to the love of Mother Yashoda. So he let himself to be bound. But Duryodhana, with his pride and ego, he couldn't bind Krishna. He thought he could bind Krishna and capture Krishna. No, then Krishna showed his universal form and puzzled anybody. And he walked peacefully out of that assembly hall. Then the war was unavoidable. The stakes were very high. So that's Krishna's potency by his internal energy, by his yoga maya. He puzzled everyone. So Krishna has these 3 energies we just explained. The marginal energy, which is a living entity. Why marginal? Because they're in between the spiritual and material energy. Because we have a material body, but we are spirit souls. So we are both. That's marginal position. And we have explained many times before. It's a piece of land on the beach. That is an example of marginal. Sometimes that land is covered by water, when it's high tide, for instance. And sometimes that land is uncovered when it's low tide. There's quite a large piece of 100 meters or more, depending on the beach. When the low tide, it's all sand. When the high tide comes, it's all covered by water. So we are in a marginal position because we have this material body, and sometimes we are covered by this Mahamaya, by this material Maya, by this material illusion. We are overcome. And sometimes we are not covered. We are Krishna conscious. Of course, our goal is to increase that uncovered state and to become completely transcendental and liberated from the modes of material nature. That's the goal of Krishna consciousness, and to offer then pure devotional service to Krishna. So, how does Krishna cover that knowledge, as we're discussing tonight, that to the foolish and unintelligent, he doesn't show himself? Because Krishna has an effulgence. The Brahma Jyoti is his effulgence. The big, big light, glaring effulgence. And Srila Prabhupada quoted a verse from the Upanishad, where a devotee prays, "Oh, my dear Lord, please remove this glaring effulgence so I can see your transcendental form." Sometimes we may be blinded by some dazzling light when, for instance, we're driving at night at the moment, and a car is coming, and the lights are so dazzling we can hardly see the shape of the car. We are dazzled by the bright light. So please remove that light so I can see the form. I can see your form, Krishna. Because devotees, they want to see the Lord. They're not satisfied with seeing the effulgence of the Lord, the Brahma Jyoti. The impersonalists, their goal is a Brahma Jyoti. They think there is nothing more to be attained than the Brahma Jyoti. That's the highest realization, but it's not. As devotees, we know it's not. We know there are three aspects of the Absolute. The Brahman aspect, the Paramatma aspect, the Supersoul within every heart of every living entity and within every atom, as Vishnu Murti, four-handed Vishnu form, and the Bhagavan aspect, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Krishna, according to one's devotional attitude, he will show himself or hide himself. We have used the example of a prime minister or president. If someone comes in a with a humble mission, okay, they may get an audience from the prime minister, the president, the pope. But if someone is very puffed up and curses the prime minister, the pope, and speaks bad about him, so why should the prime minister or the president give an audience to that person? He won't. He is unfriendly. He's not a friend. So the prime minister, the president, the pope, they have this discretion. They can grant an audience to whoever they like. So Krishna can grant an audience to whoever he likes, and he will not grant an audience to the atheist, to the unintelligent, to the foolish. He will not grant an audience. So Srila Prabhupada quotes sometimes people saying, well, how come Krishna is saying, I am invisible? Everybody could see Krishna 5,000 years ago. He was right there on the battlefield. Yes. They could see him, but they could not recognize him as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There's two types of seeing. Seeing the president of a country is one thing, but understanding he is actually the president, he's a king, that's a completely different story. If we see the Prime Minister just walking on the street, we may think he's just an ordinary shopper. But if we have a bit of knowledge, and we can understand, no, he is actually the Prime Minister, the king, the supreme person. So by his yoga maya, by this Brahma Jyoti effulgence, Krishna is hiding behind a curtain of that glaring light for the impersonalists, for the atheists. He doesn't show himself. He doesn't have to show himself. But these persons are foolish. And Krishna carries on. I am covered by my internal potency, by that yoga maya. And therefore they do not know I am unborn and inexhaustible. There are many persons that think Krishna to be an ordinary human being, appearing, he has birth, death, old age. No. Krishna never aged beyond a certain useful age, even though by material calculation he was 100 years. Nava Yauvanam. Krishna is eternal youth. So that didn't apply. But it appears like Krishna was born. Chamashtami. Well, people understand Krishna was born. But they don't know how Krishna was born. How can he be an ordinary human being? Krishna appeared in a four-handed Vishnu form, first of all. And he was first of all conceived within the mind of Vasudeva, his father, then transferred to the womb of Devaki, his mother. So, what child appears with four hands, a garland around his neck, a golden helmet on his head, and armlets out of gold, and necklaces, and anklets, and the four weapons of Vishnu in his hands, of lotus, of Gada club, of Kunch, and of chakra? Which child is born like that? No child, no ordinary human is not born like that. So these people have a poor fund of knowledge. Krishna took birth, he's an ordinary human being. Now, how he took birth? And then on the plea of his parents, who said, please, they understood that Devaki's a child, that is Krishna himself. They perfectly understood that. The devotees, please don't take this form. Kamsa will immediately come and find out that you are this eighth child of Devaki who has been prophesied he will kill him. Then, on the plea of his parents, Krishna took on the form of an ordinary child. So not everybody can see Krishna. And Duryodhana couldn't, and most people on the battlefield, they could see. What did they see? So here is a powerful king, a famous king, a wise king. Some saw him as a Vaishya, as a cowherd. They couldn't make out, who is Krishna? What is his family lineage? He's coming from a family of cowherds. But he's acting like a king. Vaishyas and Kshatriyas, they're very different. Kshatriyas are fighters, they are rulers, they are kings. Vaishyas are looking after the cows. So what is he? They're confused. Where's he coming from? What's his? He's certainly not a Brahmin. They were confused. So they couldn't recognize. Krishna was covered by his internal potency. Kunti is mentioned here. In the prayers of Queen Kunti, Srila Prabhupada writes in the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is said that the Lord is covered by the curtain of Yoga Maya, and thus ordinary people cannot understand him. Let's have a look at the Kunti prayers. Being beyond the range of limited sense perception, Kunti is praying, you are the eternally irreproachable factor, covered by the curtain of deluding energy. You are invisible to the foolish observer, exactly as an actor dressed as a player is not recognized. What a nice example. An actor dressed as a player is not recognized. Who it is? With nice makeup and nicely dressed. Like Amit, if you would play in a play, you play King Henry VIII or whatever, and you very nicely dressed, and nobody would recognize. Only after her, when you take a dress off, oh, that's Amit. Srila Prabhupada in his young days, he speaks of, they did some play in school. And at one point, because they were playing very nicely, of course, what roles they were playing, pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. So in acting before a large audience. And at one point, some famous drama person, he liked how they acted, and he gave some advice. He said, you have to play so well that the audience doesn't recognize you. You have to be completely absorbed in your role. So to have that effect on the audience which you want to have. So by his advice, they acted. And Srila Prabhupada remembers when they have acted a certain scene from Chaitanya Charitamrita, the whole audience, everybody started to cry. That's the power of drama. If the actors are really totally absorbed in the role, with all seriousness, so the audience all started to cry. Oh, that's good acting. So Krishna is that supreme actor. Let's go back. Srila Prabhupada quotes the Upanishad mantra, Hiranmayena Patrena, very famous verse, mantra 15, from the Isa Upanishad. Doesn't work, I can't go there. The link doesn't work. Okay, what a shame. Never mind. So, meaning, oh my Lord, you are the maintainer of the entire universe. And devotional service to you is the highest religious principle. There are many religious principles. We know, so many. But the highest amongst all the principles is devotional service to Krishna. So the devotee prays, therefore I pray that you will also maintain me. Your transcendental form is covered by the yoga maya, by this internal illusory energy. And just a word to the yoga maya. These pastimes of Krishna, Kurukshetra and other pastimes, Sakha pastimes, Madhurya pastimes, so many pastimes, innumerable pastimes. They're happening around the clock. When Kurukshetra pastime is finished, it starts somewhere else in some other universe. Same, with slight variation. So one could argue, let's take the Aghasura pastime, where this big snake and messenger of Kamsa wanted to swallow up the cowherd boys and the calves and Krishna. And that pastimes happen again with the same cowherd boys in another universe, in another universe, in another. So after some time, the cowherd boys may think, oh, again that Aghasura pastime. We know how it goes. Aghasura will lie there, be walking in the mouth, thinking it's a cave. And then Krishna is puzzled a little bit, what shall he do? And he also walks in the mouth and he expands himself, and the demon is killed, and the demon's soul, a bright light, goes in the sky and then merges into the body of Krishna. And the snake is dead, and we all walk out again joyfully. And so again, this pastime, again, it becomes boring. We have done it hundreds of times, and now we know how it goes. So that would be true. But Krishna, by this very same yoga maya potency, he covers the cowherd boys to such an extent in order that the pastime can go on. So it feels new and fresh. They have never, ever experienced it. So it's new. Sometimes the question is also raised. We also want always something new and fresh. Nobody wants second-hand. Really, if we can afford it, we want always new. A new phone, a new this, a new television, a new car. Second-hand, that is just a compromise, a second-hand. But that newness and freshness is explained in the Bhagavatam. Krishna makes our experiences in this material world always new and fresh. It's Krishna from within who makes everything new and fresh. That's what we are after. And we're thinking the new and fresh experience comes from the external objects. How can it? This is external objects that cannot satisfy us. They're temporary. They're deteriorating. They don't live up to what they promise. But that newness and freshness, that's coming from within. Krishna is doing that. He gives the devotees that experience of newness and freshness. Therefore, when devotees chanting all night long, it's always fresh and new, this Mahamantra. It's never, okay, I've chanted that 100 times now. Can we not chant something else? No, devotees not think like that. Each ongoing Mahamantra is fresh and new, and Anandam Buddhivartana, an ever-expanding ocean of ecstatic bliss. That is Krishna from within the heart, who makes everything new and fresh. So if we want to have, and everybody does, that experience of newness and freshness, so we have to take to Krishna consciousness. It doesn't cost a penny. It has cost a bit of faith and some dedication to Krishna. That's all. And then all our wants, even materially, are fulfilled. All our experiences are fresh and new. That's what everybody is after. So, this yoga maya is employed to spiritually illusion the cowherd boys, and every time Aghasura pastime comes, it's fresh and new. They don't remember, they had it already before. And with all the pastimes like that. With the Kurukshetra pastime, with Arjuna, it's fresh and new. Every time Arjuna thinks, that's the first time. I've never experienced that before. But actually Arjuna is an eternal associate. He's always with Krishna. And in this Kurukshetra pastime, it's just Arjuna and Krishna again and again and again and again. So Krishna consciousness is newness and freshness. If we don't taste that newness and freshness, there's something wrong with our Krishna consciousness. So now Krishna consciousness practice has become material. That can happen. That can happen. Externally, we perform the devotional service. We do the arti, we do the cleaning, we do the cooking, but we lost all the taste. That happens due to impurities, due to offenses, due to insincerity, due to offensive chanting. Then that newness and freshness disappeared. And all when we offer samadhi to the Lord, all what we are conscious of with some circles, with the lamp and with the incense and the flower, no, it has become mechanic. Just a mechanical. That's what happens generally in religions also. That in Christianity, in the first years after Jesus Christ, everything was full of potency, but through the centuries, that potency has largely evaporated, and all what is left is a dry ritual. And not for everyone. Some people, they feel that. Advanced Christians, they can feel that freshness and newness also. But for the general mass of people, they're just following the external ritual. Muslims also, bowing down. But then it becomes a chore, hard work, without any taste. Then something has gone wrong in our Krishna consciousness. Then we need to make adjustments. And again, humble ourselves and pray and chant properly. And then that freshness and newness comes back into our daily activities. So there are some big lessons to be learned, practical lessons for our daily life, how we can experience this world, everything in this world, because everything is connected to Krishna. And if we have to come to the point we see everything connected with Krishna. Krishna is there within every atom. He's there within our heart, everybody's heart. So nothing is out of Krishna. We can have that vision that Krishna is everywhere. And then this freshness and newness will be always there. We'll be never hackneyed, it will never be boring. We have all experienced when we chant our rounds, it becomes a chore sometimes. Oh, I have still to chant 4 rounds, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, and we just do lip service. That's not the idea. We have to chant from the heart. It's a prayer. We call out. Hey, Krishna is just like Srila Prabhupada explains it. It's just like a child cries for his mother. You ever seen a child in a big supermarket, in a shopping center? Somehow or other, the child gets lost. The child doesn't see his mother. He has been attracted by some colorful things in the shop. And suddenly the mother is out of sight. So what's the reaction of the child? In full anxiety, the child will scream for his mother. That is a mood we shall chant Hare Krishna. It's explained. Just like a child cries for his mother. If we can have that mood of crying for Krishna and not taking it for granted, I'm all right. I'm materially all right. I have a good bank account. I'm healthy. I'm this, I'm that. I have a job and a family and wife and children. So nothing can happen to me. No, we have to come, even in a so-called settled material situation, because this settled situation can disappear any moment. As explained, it's just like a drop of water on a lotus leaf. Vachahuremana Shri Nandanandana. A lotus leaf is very waxy. So a drop of water on a lotus leaf with a little bit of wind or a fish touching the stem of the lotus underwater, then the drop will roll off the lotus leaf. It will not stay there. So we are in such a situation, very precarious situation in this material world. Calamity can come at any moment. And we're living at a time, at the moment, where a war, a world war, God forbid, can break out at any time. We have some very, very bad actors. So much military power, even nuclear war. So we shouldn't think, oh, we are safe and secure. No. In our times, we are less safe than we have been for the past 60, 70 years. So, the devotee is praying. So, Brahma Jyoti is the covering of the internal potency. May you kindly remove this glowing effulgence that impedes my seeing you, Satchidananda Vigraha. What is that Satchidananda Vigraha? Eternal form full of knowledge and bliss. That is Krishna's form. And we know Krishna's form from the prayers of Lord Brahma and many other places where Krishna stands beautifully, shining, effulgent in his bluish complexion is just like a new cloud. There's a garland around his neck with flowers and leaves, gunja berry earrings, a moon locket around his neck, armlets, turban, peacock feather, smiling, cow herding stick, buffalo horn, cow rope, flute, and a morsel of food in his hand. So we have description. We can really visualize that picture of Krishna. That is his transcendental form. The devotee wants to see. Maybe some devotees want to see the four-handed Narayan form. Yes. That is a different form. It's a Vishnu form, glaring, effulgent, helmet on the head, garland around the neck, four hands, bluish color, carrying a lotus, a club, a chakra, and a conch, armlets, golden, ornaments. That is Vishnu. Some want to see that Vishnu form. Yes, that can be seen. Last week we have had that story of the Baba who suddenly had the darshan of Krishna and Balaram. He wanted to go to Varshana. So he had that real darshan. These are not fairy tales. These are real experiences. These are not illusions or anything. If Krishna wants to show himself, he can show himself to us as beautiful Krishna and Balaram right in front of us. And we would also faint. Certainly we would faint. Seeing Krishna, the beauty of Krishna and Balaram right in front of us, we would certainly faint. And Krishna will pick us up. My dear devotee, come back to consciousness. So only by praying in that way removes his glowing effulgence. So devotee prays. That's a Brahma Jyoti. It's covered with a Brahma Jyoti. And then that verse explains that the less intelligent impersonalists, they cannot see the Supreme on this account. In fact, they're acting. They're saying they're trying to attain Krishna by intellectual speculation. And they're believing Krishna is only Maya is creating this form of Krishna. It's an illusion. The real essence of everything is a Brahman. And all these pastimes of Krishna, this is all transformations of Maya. Therefore, they're called Mayavadis. So that's going on. So there are offenders. A Mayavadi is an offender to the lotus feet of the Lord. Why? Because a Mayavadi denies Krishna can eat, Krishna can see, Krishna can speak, Krishna can hear. He has no form. It's all one impersonal effulgence. That is Krishna. And everything else is an artificial representation of Maya. So they're denying Krishna to, even Krishna says in Bhagavad Gītā, if you offer me with love and devotion a leaf, a flower, a little bit of water, I will accept. I will accept it. I will eat it. So how can you say Krishna is not eating? He is eating. There are many stories where the deity even starts to eat. And Krishna can see. Krishna can hear. All of that. So if an impersonalist is claiming that God cannot see, cannot hear, cannot taste, he cannot walk, he has no legs, he has no hands, that's an offense. Because ultimately it makes God dumb, deaf, and blind. That's an offense. If I say to you, oh, you cannot, you have no legs, you cannot walk, you have no hands, you have no eyes, you have no ears, you cannot hear, you cannot speak. So I make you to, what's the word? To cripple, so to speak. To crippled person. Then we wouldn't feel very happy if someone talks about us like that. We wouldn't feel happy at all. That's an offense. It's an offense to Krishna. Therefore, the Mayavadis are condemned. Krishna says they will go to the darkest regions of ignorance. They have no chance of coming to the light because they're offenders. So that's the impersonalists. Okay, we can actually stop here. There's a little bit more, but let's have some questions, comments, return.
Hare Krishna, Dandavatam Prabhu. You have explained nicely some different scriptures, including the Upanishad. Prabhuji, I have one question. Like as you mentioned about Upanishad, I was like reading Upanishad. I'm like on till I've read till verse 13 today. I mean,
oh, today you were reading. Okay.
Yeah, I today read the verse 13. Like every day I'm reading one. But one thing what struck me is that throughout this Upanishad, these 18 verses, I mean, it describes the Upanishad describes the supremacy of the Supreme Lord, that he can and his all his potencies. He can he's very fast. He's a proprietor, he's a creator, but nowhere it's mentioned directly that Krishna is the supreme. Just like in Brahma Samhita, it's mentioned. Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gītā, definitely they're mentioned. But Upanishad, it mentions more like the supreme creator, but not naming anybody. But Srila Prabhupada definitely clarifies everything. But my question is that, like, Upanishad is. Why this is? There are other Upanishads also, like where the Supreme Lord is described but not named. Similarly, Upanishad is also like that. But why Prabhupada, chose Upanishad and wrote a commentary on that, though it does not directly mention Krishna as the Supreme Personality Godhead?
Yes, a good question. There are some who who follow, some Jñanis, we could say, they're very impressed by, and impersonalists also. I have spoken with impersonalists. They're quoting from the Upanishads all the time. For them, Upanishads is more important than Bhagavad Gītā and Bhagavatam. They cannot understand the Bhagavatam and Krishna's pastimes. They have no entry into that. So they're taking shelter, Vedas, Upanishads. First of all, we have to recognize the Upanishads, different, 108 Upanishads. And they accommodating people in different modes of material nature also. Like all the different people. We have 8,400,000 different forms of life. So 400 human kind of forms, and each human body, each human being is in a different mixture of the modes of material nature. Nobody is in the same exactly. Take 3 colors, the 3 primary colors, you can mix them unlimitedly in different shades of colors. Well, you're mixing red and blue, you get some turquoise, and you're mixing red and yellow, you're getting into the warmer spectrum of colors, and innumerable mixes is possible, and therefore we have such wonderful works of art with different mixes of colors. So no 2 human beings are, regarding the modes of material nature, which governing their consciousness, they are the same. Therefore, their features, no human beings have the same features, have the same consciousness, have the same temperament, everything same. Everybody is different. So therefore, in order to accommodate and to help, to elevate people from all different mixtures of the gunas, there has to be something to elevate them. And the Upanishads, different Upanishads, I don't know much about Aranyaka Upanishad, and different other Upanishads are sometimes quoted. But why did Srila Prabhupada translate the Upanishad, and why an Upanishad at all? Where, as you rightly say, it's Krishna's personal form and blissful form, as in Brahma Samhita and as in Bhagavad Gītā, even as in, certainly in Bhagavatam, that doesn't come out really. It's explained, Krishna's explained in almost an impersonal way. The answer is in order to accommodate souls in these different lower modes of material nature, because if they're reading these Upanishads, they also become gradually elevated. If someone who is an impersonalist and who is very much enamored by the Upanishads, he reads the Upanishad, and he reads that the devotee prays, please Lord, remove this glare and effulgence of your Brahma Jyoti so I can see your personal form. Well, that's a big revelation to that person, because that person was always firmly believing there is nothing higher than that impersonal Brahma Jyoti effulgence. That was the aim of his entire spiritual practices. He was convinced that's the highest achievement, to see this Brahma Jyoti, this Brahman, all-pervading Brahman. And suddenly that person hears, well, someone is praying, there is something behind that effulgence, there is something more. So by that way, that person gets some extra knowledge and becomes gradually elevated and gravitates towards understanding more what is behind this glaring effulgence of the Lord. So all this helps to move people on towards devotional service. That's Upanishads generally do that. Does that make any sense to you?
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you. So it's like a gradual, step-by-step elevation to the platform of perfect understanding or complete understanding.
Yes, we have heard the same of worshipping. The same question could be asked: why is Krishna saying, "I make the faith"? Those who have faith in the demigods, I make their faith steady. it almost sounds Krishna is propagating a demigod worship, but he's not. He later on explains those who worship the demigods go to the planets of the demigods. But that's also meant as a gradual improvement. There are those who don't recognize anything higher than themselves. Total egocentric people, atheistic, egocentric people. They are the master of the universe. They are the supreme controller. So if someone submits to, well, there are some demigods, they're higher beings, and then their faith becomes steady, and eventually they're finding out the demigods are devotees of Krishna. So I am a devotee of the demigods, and the demigods are devotees of Krishna. So why not also become a devotee of Krishna? So the demigods is not the ultimate. It's an intermediary. It's like the minister. If we go into the ministers and then we find out, well, there is a prime minister, immediately the idea comes into the mind. Maybe I should approach the prime minister. If these ministers are under the prime minister, and I want the highest benefit, so why not approaching the prime minister directly? So all this is meant to, even through the demigods, it may take many birth and death to come to the understanding that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It's very rare, as we have just discussed in this verse, that only a handful of people could understand Krishna out of the millions of people who were present on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Only a handful could understand him as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Everybody else had some different conceptions, material conceptions. Manushyanam sahasreshu, ordinary human beings, they thought, or powerful human being, or a king, or a Vaishya, or whatever ideas they had. So the whole Vedic literature is crafted in such a way to help people to move upwards. And again, it may take many lifetimes to come to the understanding of devotional service. How fortunate we are! Srila Prabhupada brought us immediately to the highest understanding. To the highest understanding, immediately. We didn't have to go through demigod worship or through all the Upanisads and dryly speculative knowledge and gradually getting purified. No. Immediately we come to the highest platform, devotional service, and directly we get purified in this very lifetime. And we, with Srila Prabhupada's mercy, we are able to go back home to Godhead in this very lifetime. He has opened the back door. We spoke about that. I have opened the back door to Krishna. And inviting us, come to the back door, the ultimate, the highest. So all these things are going on. But we have to understand that, and we have to take to it. A little bit of surrender is needed. Anything else? Amit, what about you?
No, thank you, Papa, for sharing. Sorry, Papa, I was a bit tired today. I wasn't feeling a bit under the weather, so I kind of was a bit.
Oh, you made some very nice summary.
At the start, yes.
Yes, you understand that was.
Yeah.
We have gone a little bit deeper.
Mm-hmm. I think it's quite powerful when you use that verse to understand how other people are, trying to think about what other people are, and then you don't want to think about it. You just understand that they're not the intelligence level is different. So it's best to not think about why they don't understand. Why they don't understand. For example, they eat animals. They don't understand it because of the, because they're ignorant. It's the ignorance.
They don't have the capacity.
The capacity, yeah.
But once the animals come into a human form of life, then they have the capacity.
Mm-hmm. Probably my battery might run out in a minute. I'm just going to log on again. My laptop battery.
Well, we finish now.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
half past 8. Is there anything else? No? Then we finish here.
Okay, thank you, Prabhu.
You know, we're just discussing something very interesting. Narada brought it up.
Okay, I better log in, Prabhu, with my phone.
Okay.
1 minute. Let me. My battery's gonna go, you know.
Okay.
My laptop battery's going, so let me come out.
You are here with your mobile, I guess. Can you hear me? Amit?
Yes, Prabhu. Sorry, it was on mute.
Okay,
I can
you
hear
can
you.
hear me. Something interesting had come up. Narada said, you have this year is, I believe so, he said, is your 20th anniversary of the Hare Krishna Center in Leicester. So I said, I don't remember exactly when it was. Narada said it was 2006. He thought, and then I asked Vashana Mataji, because she has some old photos. Then she came up, it was actually in March 2005. So we have the 21st anniversary of the Hare Krishna Center here in Leicester. So Vashana was saying, what? I can't believe it. I was cooking for 21 years. And I was heading up the operation here also for 21 years. And then Narada was saying, we must make a festival. We must make a festival and celebrate the 21st anniversary of the Hare Krishna Center. I said, yes, we do it. You come, set the date in March. I think it was the 3rd of March, no, 6th of March, something like that. I have the date somewhere. Let's just see it. What's the date? Where is the date? Where is the date? Here is the date. 13th of March 2005, we had the data installation. 13th of March. 3rd of March is Gaura Punim this year. 13th of March. So perhaps we're working on it. We'll make a festival. We want everyone to come. It doesn't have to be exactly the 13th, whatever is convenient, but 21 years is quite something. So we shall celebrate that. I just thought I'd bring that up and we will develop that idea a little bit further. So here we stop. Seeing you on Saturday, hopefully. Last Saturday, we had a beautiful program again. Beautiful Kirtan, so much Kirtan. Wow, it was absolutely amazing Kirtans and nice prasadam and our team, mostly Kirtan. And we had a very good turnout. Casey was there and Techal was there and Durgesh was there and Kamlesh was there and Narayani, the daughter of Techal, and Eden was there, and we had a full house. Ben, of course. So I hope this Saturday again. So log in if you don't come personally. If you're around, come personally. Have a beautiful Hare Krishna Kirtan and Prasadam, and see you Saturday, one way or the other. Hare Krishna.